Welcome to the tutorial for Kettenmorgenstern. First of all, I would like to thank you for purchasing this download, and second, I would like to make it clear that this is not going to be your average verbal walkthrough or explanation. Sure, I'm going to have the overview of the mechanics and explanation of the basic move itself, but near the end I'm going to include tips on the specific nuances, packet sizes, finger positions, and how to practice it and what stuff you should watch out for. This is going to be for the people who like to go as in-depth as possible when learning a new move. So without further ado, let's get into the move. So when you start out, you want to use a deck that is rather broken in. If it basically spreads unevenly, and if you can do a deck flip with it, it's probably good enough for this move. You're going to start with this move by Chase Duncan, Bobo 3, but we will only do half of it. You're going to break off with your thumb, and with your pinky down here on opposite corners. You're going to let this roll over and drop on top face up, and now we're going to split this packet down here in half with a charlier. This charlier will go to the top, and we're going to do another charlier, but it will be stopped halfway. Now here's one of the knacky parts of the cut. You want to pull down with your index finger and get it to flip over like that. But if you're starting out, you may want to pull with your index finger halfway, and then turn your hand vertically to use gravity to help you pull it down. Now you're going to pinch with your pinky like so, and you're going to pull that packet out. You will also push with your index finger, and this is another knacky part of the move. This will be similar to skirt in that it's easier to do quickly and that you will use momentum to carry this packet over. But you also want to make sure, like skirt, that you move your thumb out of the way so it doesn't drag a card like so. So when this packet falls, it will be parallel to this packet and almost perpendicular to the packet below it. Next, we're going to pull in with the middle and fourth finger. And we want to push down with the thumb and use the pinky to help flip it over like so. This motion will help square that packet up, and you can use the base of your thumb to help square it too. Now comes the last part, and in my opinion the knackiest part of the cut. You're going to be squeezing the middle and the base of the thumb together like so, and what that will do with the packet in place is it's going to make the base packet ride along your fourth finger like so. And this packet over here will be slowly turned onto the top. Now when you do this part, you want to re-grip your index finger to the short edge so that you can continue this motion. Now you don't want to end the cut right here because you can't really do much from there combo wise, and you also can't deck flip from there. So what you want to do is after you bring the index finger up and roll it onto the thumb, you want to bring your middle and fourth finger to the short edge, and you're going to pull in with those fingers, and if you see, the packet's going to go into the base of your palm so that when this packet rolls over, it will be in the charlier position. It helps if your hands are a little bit dry for this, because otherwise you may drag this card over here as you practice. This part right here is mostly knackiness. I will go in further detail later in the video. This is just a surface level look at the move. So if you want to see more tips, the next video is going to be on finger positions. Now this cut is not really as reliant as most other cuts on finger positioning, but there are a few tips that I can give. The first tip is less finger positioning and more packet positioning, but you want to make sure that this packet is to the right of the face of packet, not on the left side. This will actually help you do it much more smoothly and quickly when you're doing it at full speed. And so with this part, I found a lot of people also have trouble clearing this corner right here. It often gets stuck on the middle finger, and they can't find out how to move it further down. So my advice is to move your middle finger out slightly when you're doing this cut and grip it only with the fourth finger and thumb. This will help you clear it, and of course also bring your hand vertically, because this helps you move it down like so. Now at this part of the cut, I highly recommend, if you find this motion awkward, using the base of your thumb and middle finger squeezing, to use your thumb to help push on this corner. This really helps when you start out, and when you get faster you'll eventually phase that little crutch out. So when you're doing this part, I also recommend practicing this motion a lot. It is also worth noting that the fourth finger always stays on this edge. It rides along the fourth finger, but a tiny bit of the tip of it always stays contacting the edge of this packet, even if the middle finger goes under. Now this may depend on hand size, but you want to practice this over and over to try to keep your fourth finger there, so that when you end the cut, you can pull it back into a Charlier position. This mostly just allows you to go into other combos much easier. So have fun practicing the finger positions. Packet size. Many cardists will ignore this aspect of cardistry in favor of flow, mechanics, or speed, but I consider this to be one of the most important aspects, mainly due to a field that I call acoustics. Now what are acoustics, you may ask? Well, if you've ever done a bunch of index cuts and ended it with the clap, or if you've done flip phone, you know what acoustics are already. Acoustics are simply the sound of cardistry, and the best example of acoustics is the video Tiger Woods on Dealer's Grip's YouTube channel. Now, packet size plays a crucial aspect in Kettenmorgenstern because it has 3 acoustic moments. There are 3 flips near the end with the 3 different packets, and those are the 3 acoustic moments right here, here, and here. Now if you do that at full speed, you will hear the 3 distinct claps. So how do you get the correct packet size for Kettenmorgenstern? It's actually rather simple. Split the deck into 3 as evenly as possible, and then remove a few cards from the bottom packet. Anywhere between 3 and 5 cards is acceptable. Now you're going to grip this packet between your thumb and pinky. That's going to be the first packet. And if you split this packet in half, that will be your ideal packet sizes for the momentum, timing, and the acoustics of Kettenmorgenstern. This is also why I recommend that you do not take away any cards when practicing this cut, because if you take away cards, you will be learning this cut with a different packet size, and that will be altogether detrimental to your learning, because when you add those cards back in, you're going to start trying to use that older packet size, and your hands will become much clunkier since they are not used to the full deck. So, keep packet size in mind, practice slowly until you get to the packet sizes, and have fun. Now that you've learned packet size, you can move on to the flow, momentum, and timing of Kettenmorgenstern. Now it is important to keep in mind here that you need to make it look as relaxed as possible, because the more relaxed, the more easy and smooth it seems, the more impressive it will be to cardists and laymen. So make sure to practice this as slow as you possibly can, while still keeping that smoothness and all of the timing and momentum. So starting from the beginning, we're going to have pretty much no wrist motion here, and it's going to be all finger motion. And that is because we need as much contrast as possible. There's going to be some large flips later on, and if we have small motions at the beginning, those large flips will seem much bigger than they actually are. So we start small movements here until we get to here. Now right here is when you start using a little wrist. You're going to move your hand just a little bit forward, kind of a rolling forward motion. And this is very similar to the movements in the beginning of Bullet by André Gide. Just a little bit of wrist motion to accentuate that. So again, from the beginning, with the correct packet size of course, we have very little wrist motion, and then over here we do a little bit of forward motion. And you may notice at the end of that, I go down a little bit. We go up and then down a bit. And this is setting up for the large flare. You see, this is the biggest motion of the cut, and if we want more contrast, we're going to move down before doing that large motion. So right here, you start from down, and then you go up a bit, and then back down. And that's going to be the climax of the cut. Now right here, you can start dying down again. You're going to move a little bit forward, doing that same kind of rolling forward motion from earlier. And there's going to be virtually no up, down, or left and right wrist motion here. It's all going to be just twisting just a little to help move this packet around. And one tip for this, to help make this look as good as possible, is to make sure that when you do this, you don't rush to clap the packet closed. Instead, when you get here, take your time to move, be careful to move this packet over the edge of the deck so that you can rest your hand out and close with gravity. You may see that Tobias Levin and Oliver Sogard do this a lot when they do their charliers, for instance. Instead of just closing right away, they do a little pause right before closing to give that added sense of satisfaction. And once again, satisfaction, smoothness, and easiness is what sells a move. So, from the beginning, no wrist motion, all finger movement, until we get to here, and we're going to use a little bit of forward motion, and we're going to go down. Now we're going to go up and down again, and a little bit of rolling motion again, and pretty much no motion, except for the motion needed to bring this packet over the edge so you can clap with gravity. Now, we need to get into the timing. The timing is very important for this too. I'm going to count out the 6 beats in this cut. We have 1, which is this opening, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You may see that there were some parts where 2 motions were in 1 beat. Now you need to make sure that you get this right. Again, from the beginning, timing and motion taken into account. No wrist movement, first beat, second beat. And then for the first half of the third beat, no wrist motion. And then you use wrist motion for the second half of the fourth beat. Now we have 5, 6, which is also 2 motions, and 7, close with 8. Now one final thing, when you are doing this, you'll want to use just enough wrist motion to move the packets around to get those flips, but not too much. Remember, the easier it seems, the more relaxed you are, the better the cut will look, even if the timing and momentum is slightly off. So with that in mind, practice momentum, timing, practice that flow, little ups and downs here and there, and have fun. Now that we're nearing the end of the video, it's time to talk about practice tips and common mistakes. Now, these two topics go hand in hand, so I'm going to discuss them together. First practice tip, use a camera every once in a while. Now, a mirror is all fine and good, but when you use a mirror, you can't focus all your attention on watching yourself perform the move. you have to focus a little bit of your attention on performing the move itself. Whereas if you use a camera and record yourself performing it 2 or 3 times in a row, you can focus all your attention on critiquing the move, and you may find some mistakes you make. Now, one of the mistakes that I found myself making a lot was finger twitches. You see, my fingers would twitch because I was trying to do the cut too fast. And for instance, after here, my thumb would twitch, and my thumb would twitch again after doing this flip. So I had to practice this very, very slowly, which is, by the way, my next practice tip. Practice as slowly as you can, and try to keep it smooth with no twitches. And after that, ironing those wrinkles out, you can start moving faster and faster until you do it nice and smoothly while still doing it quickly. Finally, the last practice tip is to make sure that you watch this video more than once. I can't tell you how many times I've watched a tutorial the second or third time and learned a thing or two even on that repeated watch. Because when you watch something just once, you don't remember everything. You're going to relearn something. You're going to learn something new the second or third time you watch it. So watch this tutorial over and over, as many times as you need to get this move down. I've included some timestamps so that you can efficiently move to the part that you need to focus on. So the 3 tips again are: practice using a camera, make sure to practice slowly and smoothly, and also be as efficient as possible. Watch the video over and over to try to get those moves down. Thank you again for purchasing this tutorial. It really means a lot to me. And thank you for watching. Have a nice day and have fun with this cut.